Okay, so yeah, we have Shelley, Seema, and Malka on Zoom. Okay, so for the last class of this book, it's page 193. Yeah, so thank you for joining. So today we're going to talk a little bit about Israel, considering the I guess events today we had Netanyahu in the Congress.
I saw it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So question is, what are the advantages to living in Israel?
Are you kidding? Yeah, it's a Kodesh.
Okay.
In terms of what?
In terms of anything, you just tell me.
Religiously, or
Just say any advantages.
any advantage.
Okay, what else?
It's our
You
home.
get to speak
Our home.
Hebrew every day.
Okay.
You're with your own.
You'll become fluent in Hebrew.
Okay, with your own people, you feel like you belong.
I feel very safe there.
Safe.
Not
Okay.
here. Right.
Okay. Hi, Dina. Oh, tonight. And
Mhm.
Eileen.
Hi.
Wow. Okay. Hi. Okay. Okay. So should we all move there?
Absolutely. Yeah. Come in, Muslim. I don't wanna go to Muslim.
You must be Islamophobe.
You don't think the Muslims are here? They're all over Culver City. Well, they feel that way. It's like 30% or 25%.
What? I think like 25%, yeah?
Well,
would you go to
more
a
of
place
us
that
going
doesn't
there,
have it?
that will cut down that percentage, you see.
There
Oh.
are already too many in Australia. Here is still diluted.
Okay, so
I
why?
was thinking that, yeah, they can probably use our support, but maybe it's also important for Jews to be dispersed throughout the world as well.
Okay, so why would you
Yes.
expound on that, Shelley? Let's hear your
What?
opinion about that. Let's hear your opinion on that. Expound on that thought.
Okay, well, just so that we can spread Judaism everywhere. And
Okay.
Judaism can be everywhere and expose other people to it and bring more people, bring more Jewish people into their Jewishness.
Mm-hmm.
We'll spread no high principles.
Okay. Okay, so they're all interesting thoughts, and we're going to learn a little bit more today, but through the Parsha, about this, what the Torah has to say. Do we all move to Israel or do we not? Do some of us?
The Rebbe never went,
Okay, that's an interesting point.
but then look at what he's done. With Chabad.
Yeah.
It's hard to hear what everybody's saying over there.
Okay, well, I did put the mic on, so I don't know what else we could do. Okay. Okay. So anyway, this week's Parsha is Parsha Pinchas. I should set up a thing here. Okay. And in this Parsha, it talks about how the land of Israel was divided amongst the Jews when they were leaving the desert and going into the land, right? It wasn't just a land grab. It wasn't to just go run and say, okay, I got this plot, I got that plot. How did it work? It went according to the tribe that they were in. Each tribe was allotted land. And how did they do that? They did it through a lottery system. Okay. So there were 12 portions. The land of Israel was divided into 12 portions. And those 12 portions were allotted to each tribe. Now, how did they do it? So the lottery, so what they did, they had a basket that's had all the 12 places in Israel, the 12 like lands, territories, or whatever you want to call it. And then they had the 12 tribes. Okay. And so they pick out one paper from one basket, one paper from another basket, and say, okay, this is a match. Okay. Now, it wasn't just so simple. It was something even more interesting than that. Okay, which we'll read starting with text 1a. Okay. Shelley, you want to read first, or should we save you for? We'll save you for a long one. Actually, we'll save you for a long one.
Okay.
The inheritance of the land should be a
portion
to the tribe, whether numerous or few. By pronouncement of the lottery.
Okay, so what is this saying? So I want to paraphrase this.
Yeah, I think it's saying it doesn't matter how big or small that tribe is, it's not by that.
Mhm.
It's just a lottery.
Okay, I just pronounced it. It just through the lottery we knew what it said. Well, what's interesting is that Rashi takes the word by pronouncement And he says they actually, the lottery actually announced what the, like who the matches were. Hello, Sylvia. Okay, so let's read 1b and see what Rashi has to say about that. Okay, wanna read it, Carrie? Do you mind? 1b. Okay, so they would pick out the two papers, and the papers themselves would announce, like today we have Siri, and we just say, hey Siri, who, what does it say? Right? And it reads it for us. But back in those days, they didn't have Siri or Siri. Just kidding. But they had these lotteries, and it was godly lotteries, and the paper itself would say, oh, Shimon, this land, whatever it was. So it was very miraculous. So it sounds a little like silly. Why did it have to be so miraculous? Why did the lot have to speak? Why couldn't it just be either God just told us, told Moshe, or why couldn't it just be that they picked it out, it was the right pieces of land? Why did they have to do such a weird, a unusual, miraculous, out of natural order type of thing of the lottery itself speaking and saying what it was? Okay, so it says there's even more divine intervention than that. The Talmud explains it in text 2. Okay, Shelley, we'll go for you now. So long.
Okay. The land was divided by lottery, as the verse states, only by lottery. The land was divided by a prophetic spirit communicated through the Urim Betunim, engraved letters on the high priest's breastplate. As the verse states, by pronouncement of the lottery. How can both be true? Eliezer the high priest donned his breastplate, through which God communicated. Joshua and all the Jews stood before him. A lottery receptacle with the names of the tribes stood before him, and a lottery receptacle with the names of the land portions stood before him.
That kind of continues. Okay.
He ascertained by divine spirit and proclaimed, the tribe of Zebulun will arise from the lottery, and the portion of Akko will arise with him. He drew from the receptacle of the tribes, and Zebulun emerged in his hand. He drew from the receptacle of the land portions, and the portion of Akko emerged in his hand. He ascertained once more by divine spirit and proclaimed, the tribe of Naphtali will arise from the lottery, and the portion of Ginosar will arise with him. He drew from the receptacle of the tribes, and Naphtali emerged in his hand. He drew from the receptacle of the land portions, and the portion of Ginosar emerged in his hand.
Okay, now wouldn't this be great if for the lottery here works like that? Okay, you get the numbers, then you can go and pick your lottery tickets. No, so usually when you pick the winners, you pull out the numbers and then you announce what the number, what the winning number is. Here was the opposite. The Kohen Gadol, which at that time was Elazar, he announced who the match was going to be, what the match was going to be, and then those are the two papers that he pulled out miraculously. So there's lots of miracles over here. What's going on? Was it in vain? Do not do a miracle in vain. I don't know. So obviously something we can learn from this. Okay. So let us read text number 3. This is a commentator from the 14th century, Rabbi Nissim of Gerona. Any other, let's see. Sylvia, you want to do it?
Sure.
Okay.
God desires to preserve the natural order as much as possible. The order of nature is precious to him. He overrules it only in cases of critical necessity.
Okay, so usually God does not try to do miracles. If so when we left Egypt, there's a lot of miracles. When we split the sea, that's the big great miracles. But once once things got moving along, especially once we settled in the land of Israel, you don't see open miracles anymore much. Once in a while they did, but not much. So why would God make a miracle, say, unnecessarily? Okay, so we're going to shift for a moment, and we're going to talk about something else. Okay, so we're going to talk about very recent times, a time in 1970. Okay, the Rebbe was celebrating a Hasidic gathering at Farbrengen in New York for the 20th anniversary of his leadership, from when he took leadership of the Chabad movement. And a lot of people from out of town came in, and I'm guessing like there must have been a big contingency from a certain place. It doesn't say exactly which place, but anyway, there's a big contingency from a certain place, and they're all sitting at the Farbrengen, at the gathering, listening to the Rebbe talk, and they're looking at their watches because they have a plane to catch. And the Rebbe's just talking, and they didn't want to leave, get up and leave. It wasn't, nice. They wanted to be there till the end of the talk. But on the other hand, they didn't want to miss their flight. And the Rebbe saw this, without any words being exchanged of, hey, we're going to miss our flight. He just saw that they were getting antsy. And he said, everyone, let me tell you a story. And then he goes back to his father-in-law, the previous Chabad Rebbe, the sixth Chabad Rebbe, and he says that one time he was in Leningrad in his office with the previous Rebbe. So the Rebbe was with the previous Rebbe in the office in Leningrad, and he had a train to catch in 15 minutes. And the previous Chabad Rebbe was just doing what he had to do, taking care of stuff. Wasn't like, oh no, where's my suitcase? Where's my hat? I have a plane, I have a train to catch. Let me get. He just was, and he said, how can you be so calm? He said, right now, this is what I'm doing now. My train is in 15 minutes. Till I have to walk to that train, I am only going to focus on only now exists. Only the present exists. So with no reason for me to be anxious, and why should I ruin my few minutes now for the train that I'm going to catch in 15 minutes from now? So now the Rebbe looked back at them and he said, okay, wait a second. So now let's say before I get to that part. Okay, there was one more story within the story. So the previous Rebbe actually mentions another rabbi named Shlomo ben Aderet, who lived in Spain in the 13th century. And it says that he was a very learned, knowledgeable, well-known man. He gave 3 complex lectures a day. He answered many halakhic questions, like inquiries, every day. He also had a medical practice. And at the same time, listen for all of us, he made sure to leave time every day to relax and stroll in a natural setting. So he took a nice, hike or walk in a natural setting. So and people said, hey, how could you, so this way he was able to calm down, unplug, whatever it was. So now we're going to read what the previous Rebbe says about this, about how this great Rabbi Shlomo was able to do that. Text number 4. Okay. We'll get to that in a minute. Oh, yeah, okay.
I can read if you want.
Oh, Anna's reading. I don't know why you guys don't hear.
I can, you want me to read?
Anna's reading. I guess I don't know why you don't hear it. Because it's not. I don't know how to make it louder. Huh? Yeah, so maybe yeah. So basically,
Okay.
yeah, I don't know if you didn't hear it, but Anna read it while you were talking. Do you hear me, Eileen?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, that's weird. Okay. So anyway, so he was totally focused on the task at hand. Okay. You could try. Yeah, common person, huh? So you're more okay. Okay, thank you. So tell me if you hear me now. You still hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay.
You're coming through absolutely clearly. Nobody else.
Maybe this mic isn't working and you're just, that's what I'm saying. Maybe the mic isn't working. I don't know how to, I'm not doing anything. Okay.
It's okay.
Okay. So basically when you just focus on the task at hand, you're much more efficient in what you're doing, right? So the previous Rebbe said he was able to fully concentrate, before his train because he was totally focused on what he's doing. Now back to the Rebbe at the Farbrengen, at the Hasidic gathering, the Rebbe said, the airport, the plane, all that you guys are waiting to go on doesn't exist right now. Why? How is that? Because I know we've learned in other classes for people who've been here before, is that every moment God's recreating the world. Okay, so every moment he's willing the world to exist, the world is getting recreated. Just like we've spoken before about our cells are constantly getting renewed, the world is constantly getting renewed. So that plane at that moment that you have to catch it, doesn't exist. It's only going to exist when you actually have to walk onto the plane. Till then, it's getting renewed, recreated. It's not really there. Don't worry about it.
So what
Don't
you're
think
saying
about it.
is, sorry, so what you're saying is that Rabbi Shlomo lived for the moment. He only
Yes.
focused on what was happening with him at the moment that he was in.
Not in a way that he was careless about the future, but we'll discuss a little more about, but yes, when he lived in a moment, he wasn't thinking about the past. Oh no, why did I do that? Right?
Yeah, it just seemed like from the thing that I just read, that's what
Right.
it signified to me, is that, you know, whatever he was doing, that's what he was focusing
Yes,
on. Nothing
exactly. He
else
was fully
existed.
into it. He was fully into it. Okay.
Yeah.
So the rabbi's telling these Hasidim, don't worry about your plane that you have to catch. It doesn't exist yet. You have to right now be in the moment. You're here, you're at this, at this gathering, you're gaining spiritually. That's where you are. That plane doesn't exist yet. So we don't have to concern ourselves with it yet. Okay. So yeah, I guess eventually they made their plane. I think that's, it doesn't say that here, but I remember this. I've heard the story many times before. Yeah. Either it was delayed or this. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Exactly. So anyway, so besides for time and being in the moment, right? You could say the same thing for places, for area, right? Where you are. If we're, so let's first go back to time for a second. If you're so concerned about tomorrow, right? You never experienced today. You're always worried, right? You just get anxious and anxious and anxious. And what's going to be, and how am I going to pay my rent, or how am I going to this, or how am I going to retire, or whatever the thing that you're worried about is. And you can't really enjoy, you're ruining the moments that you have now. So, and maybe all the worry that you have now or what you're thinking about now will be irrelevant tomorrow.
Driving.
You know, something, circumstances will change and it'll be a whole other issue. Okay. So, so actually it's a Jewish law to think about the moment, to think about now, not just like a psychological thing that we're discussing, how to make ourselves be less anxious or less guilty or whatever it is. How's a Jewish law? There was actually a Jewish prisoner in a prison many years ago, and they had an opportunity for a furlough, and they were able to take it whatever day they wanted. And they say, they weren't sure, should I take it the first day possible, or should I wait for a holiday? Because in prison, now in prison, we have much more religious rights and stuff like that, supposedly. But back then, there was no rights. So let's say the guy was in prison, maybe he wasn't allowed to pray, maybe he couldn't get kosher food, maybe he couldn't, do some other mitzvah that he wanted to do, right? He was very, very restricted. So he asked a rabbi, should I take my first day possible off, or should I wait for Yom Kippur, for Pesach, for some big holiday, and take it off then, or I could really celebrate? Yeah, they were able to get out for a day or two. Yeah, believe it or not, even back in those days. Okay, so let's see what text number 5, what he was answered. Yeah, who wants to read? You ready, Carrie? Okay, yeah, Rita, want to read? Okay.
Notice that one of the sages of our day delved into the subject, but came up empty because he built his arguments on a faulty foundation. First, he suggested Yom Kippur. Then he switched to Purim. His ruling is inappropriate. Do not rely on it. The ruling must rest on this foundation. We have an undisputed halachic principle that a mitzvah must never be postponed. Accordingly, the very first mitzvah opportunity that arises that cannot be performed in prison takes precedence. It doesn't matter whether it is a major or minor mitzvah. This is quite obvious to me.
Okay, so I just want to, you guys online, were you able to hear her?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so if you can do a mitzvah today, do it. Don't push it off, right? A lot of us procrastinators around here. So many times, as humans, we prioritize the future because we think of it as a means to an end, right? I gotta catch this flight, so I gotta worry about my flight that I'm gonna catch and worry about if the Uber's gonna come, or if I'm gonna be packed, or if I'm this or I'm that. And you don't think of the present as so vital. But if you're so focused on the future, okay, I gotta get onto this flight, I'm gonna travel, and you're not concentrating, okay, right now I have to pack for my flight, and you're not focusing at the task at hand of packing, you might forget some important stuff in your suitcase, or maybe some not such important stuff in your suitcase, and you're not present with your packing, and then you forgot something somewhere. Okay, so it's really important that, yes, instead of focusing what's going to be, or think of how can I fill this extra minute that I have now. So sometimes you're kind of like tired, lazy, I don't know, whatever the word is, and you're like, oh God, I gotta wash the dishes, I gotta do this little task, and it seems like, I'm like, oh no, I'm like, no energy, no this to do it, but then you say, you know what, jump. I sometimes I'll just say, oh come on, sorry, just jump up. I jump up and I wash the dishes. It takes me exactly 3 minutes. I'm like, why was I sitting on the couch for 10 minutes for something that I was able to accomplish in 3 minutes? Now the sink is clear, it's clean, it looks so much better. I feel so much better. Like, that was so silly, right? When you say, okay, right now I have a few extra minutes now, what can I do to fill these minutes? And you do something, right? You're feeling so much more than just either complaining about it, or thinking about it, or worrying about it. You just get something done. And that is the point of filling every minute with something good, something proper. So the Torah doesn't say, oh, this minute is not so important, but that minute is really important, right? The minute I'm, doing something small or simple is not so important, but the minute I'm doing some big holy mitzvah, oh, that's an important minute. No, every single minute is equally important. Okay. So we see this because at the end of the Jews' journey in the desert, the Torah actually sits and recounts all the places that they stopped and rested in. So, they went from this city, this place, to that place. They rested in this place. They went from that, they got up from that place, continued on to this place. And it sits and re-mentions at the end of the journey all the journeys that they've been through. Like, why is it so important? Why is it so important that we have to, that the Torah has to actually sit and write it in? We could just go back and read the previous portions and figure it out ourselves. Why does we have to have all those journeys all written out and singled out? So let us read text number 6. There's another lesson in time and everything. Okay. Text number 6. What's going on? Eileen, you want to do it? One second, undo your mute. If you're not driving, you're driving?
Yeah, here. Okay, and Moses wrote the starting points of their journeys according to God's instruction. The conventional purpose of the journey is either to leave our current station or to arrive at our future destination. In the case, the journey itself was purposeful in fulfillment of a divine commandment. Similarly, the places they stopped at on the way were also in fulfillment of a divine commandment. Every detail of the journey, even if it appears necessary for the next step, was mapped out and instructed by God for a divine purpose.
Okay, so it wasn't, we just need to get from point A to point B. We need to get from Egypt to Israel. But it was every step in the journey, every single place they stopped, every part of the ride was important. It was part of the divine plan. So every step in our journey, every place where we end up, every wrong turn we somehow make, or weird place we find ourselves in, there's actually a reason for it. It's not just, okay, we took a wrong turn. So when the Jewish people, when they were traveling through the desert and they stopped somewhere, it wasn't, okay, we're just here for a day. It doesn't really make a difference that we're here. No, it really made a difference. We're here for a day. They have to think of that day as they're permanently there. Till they leave, we are here. So it's not like, okay, oh, when we're going to journey next. No, right now you're here, the same idea. Focus where you are now. This is where we are. We have something to accomplish over here. However long it was that they ended up being there. So Hashem gave us time, right? He gave us moments, not just to prepare for the next moment or the future, but to make each present moment, every moment that we are in right now, the present, to make it meaningful. So you have a long walk to show, you can review some Torah in your head or something. You have, you have whatever it is that you're doing, wherever it is that you're going, you can figure out a way to try to fill that time. Stop and say hello to people, smile at anyone on the street. That famous story about the guy who was who went to commit suicide, and he wrote a note at home, something like, if one person on the way to the bridge smiles at me or says a kind word, I'll turn around and go home. And I don't know if they didn't, right?
No, jump.
I try.
A lot of people don't answer you. But I don't care. Some people don't.
I don't know, if that's, are we not even, as a religious person, or if we can say.
Yeah, you can say hello. It's something called the Sefer Panim Yafot. You should like greet people with a smile, with a
Yes.
nice, good countenance.
Yes.
So yeah, there's actually my brother on the bottom of all his emails. It's be the reason someone smiles today.
Because I think sometimes, it makes me feel good, so it's selfish.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think it's good, it raises their serotonin and dopamine when you
Yeah.
smile also, it helps me, helps herself.
And as I said, if you're a dog person, you know, it's like I take a couple of seconds and they're the ones smiling back. Like, thank you for stopping.
Usually I talk to the dog. I'll say, oh, look at you, puppy," like that. You're so happy you noticed the dog, you know?
Yeah.
I love dogs, but I'm just,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
"Oh, I talk to the dog.
I do, do you do that, I'm sorry?
Talk to the dog, no.
Do you say hello to people?
I smile. Or say good morning or hi.
I was smiling, like, why are you smiling? And then someone said hello.
Right.
I said
Right.
hello and
Walked and said hello, and then I turn around to see if they heard, and they turn around and says, oh, I'm sorry, hi.
Right.
It's like, no one notices.
Well, if they have like things in their ears, they might not realize. Yeah.
oh God. Good reason not to talk to anyone. Then to beat that with another loser.
Okay. So now back to the future. We don't ignore the future. Sorry, I didn't say it like that. That's how it came out.
Good thing.
We don't want to ignore the future totally. Obviously, there has to be some type of preparation. But again, is the preparation worry and, oh no, I've got to make that plane? Or is the preparation, okay, right now I need to, get my ride. Right now I need to pack. Right now I need to do this, take a shower before, whatever it is. So are you working on the moment, or are you working on just being concerned about the future without really doing what you need to do about it? So obviously didn't pack properly, you wouldn't be able to follow, we weren't about to do whatever you did. If you didn't cook, you wouldn't be able to eat dinner. So yes, you can't say, okay, I'll worry about dinner when it comes. Obviously, you have to have some type of preparation, some type of work right now to make sure the dinner is ready at the right time. And when you're packing, you have to think, what am I putting in the suitcase? How many days am I going for, right? All the little things that you do when you pack. Not thinking about the sandy beaches that you're about to go to and then forget to pack your bathing suit. I don't know. Okay. So, so all the tasks that we do, we have to be present in, enjoy the moment, put effort into focusing on whatever it is that we're doing. Okay. So, let's say you're about to pass on your big company to the next generation. And, you could take your, whatever it is, your son, your daughter, your whoever, and just take them to the top, take them to your office and say, okay, you're going to come take over the company. Or you could say, okay, you want to learn about this company, you're going to have to take it over one day, start in the mailroom. And they work their way up and they see how every single part of the company works and functions. And then when they get to the top, they'll know best how to run that company. They've been there. They know what it's like. Mm-hmm. So the same thing, what we do each day, we need to, where our journey, what we're doing is not just worrying about the future, but doing each thing we need to do. So then our future will be better. So our future, will be more prepared and everything like that. Okay. When we are focusing on the present, what are we doing? We need to use our thought, our speech, and our action. Those are the three garments of the souls. So each part of we need to be being totally present means we need to use our thought, thinking about what we're doing, speech, either you have to say a bracha or say something about, of that mitzvah or that thing that we're doing, and then action, actually do it. So we're going to understand that better, we're going to look at text number 7, which is what happened in times of war. How do armies conquer? How are they successful in war? Could they only be half present? Could they only have thought or speech or only have action? Or do they need all three to actually conquer, to actually fulfill? So the same thing with us. And we're going to read that text number 8. I guess back to Shelley.
Okay. Our capture, division, and settling of the land represents our spiritual effort to conquer the land of Canaan, the land of the 7
Yeah, you'll be
nations,
next. I'm sorry.
and transform it to Eretz Yisrael, a holy land, a Jewish land clearly connected to Judaism, godliness, and holiness. We accomplish this by using the land to fulfill all the divine
What? We
commandments.
skipped 7? Oh, I'm sorry. One second, Shelley. I'm sorry. Wait, I'm so confused.
What happened?
On the screen, I have 8, but we
No, I was just like, how did?
wait. Oh, you know why? Oh, here, 7. We skipped 7, it looks like. I'm sorry. Okay. We forgot to do 7. So no, let Tina do 7, and you'll do 8 since you already started.
Okay,
We got a little mixed up over there. Okay.
no problem.
Okay.
All right. I'm fully immersed in what God wants.
Wait, one second. Okay, yeah.
Top of 7.
She's just reading the title. Okay.
Okay, a conquering army is only successful if it invests all its forces and all the elements of its military. In general, we function through 3 garments: thought, speech, and action. If we don't utilize all 3, we are not fully successful. If the army conquers without a well thought out plan or without verbalizing instructions to its officers and prisoners, it will not conquer fully. The same applies if it has a plan and acts upon it, but fails to communicate it properly, etc. It might conquer, but not completely. The vanquished will continue to resist with at least some of their faculties.
Okay, so same with us. Just like an army needs all the full, complete circle, the complete focus, the complete concentration, the thought, the speech, the action, all the weapons, the tools, the plans, the instructions. So same with us in our day-to-day life in serving Hashem. Okay, so sometimes we want to rush the preparatory steps. We just want to get through it and just get to the action. Hey, and you just want to act and you don't want to think it through or speak it through. But if we do that, then we won't be ready in the next stage for what we need to be ready for. So it's Hashem who wants us to be here in this stage, and we need to fulfill his will properly. So part of that is using the thought, the speech, and the action. And now back to the lottery. So that is why the lottery had to speak. It wasn't just to, it was just to finding out who got what land in Israel. Really no one would really have to pay attention to the lottery. You could just see the results at the end. But the idea was that it shouldn't just be rushed. It's a process. We have to figure out which land goes to who, and they have to use all the faculties of thought, speech, and action. And that's why God made the miracle of the lottery actually speaking. So we know that speech is an important part of the process of doing a mitzvah, of doing an action. There's a thought, the speech, and action. You have to have all of it. And so that's why the lottery that used the speech, even though it was miraculous. For the lottery to speak, it had to, I don't know, theoretically think first. And then when they blew out the lottery, that was like the action of what the lottery answers gave us. So it wasn't a miracle in vain, but it was a teaching for us to learn how to be present and how to be focused. Okay. Now, this wasn't just about any place or any land or any type of lottery, but it was about the Jewish people coming to the land of Israel, the Holy Land, a special land. And once they got to the land, what was their mission in the land of Israel? Or the general mission of the world, which they started in Israel, which is make a home for God. By every mitzvah that we do, by making the place holy, it becomes more of a place for God. And so we do that now, today, everywhere, wherever we live here in the United States. But it started out when they first came to Israel. That's where this process of making a home for God started. That's so funny. I was ever laughing. Okay. Now text number 8, Shelley. Now you can read.
Okay, our capture, division, and settling of the land represents our spiritual effort to conquer the land of Canaan, the land of the 7 nations, and transform it into Eretz Yisrael, a holy land, a Jewish land clearly connected to Judaism, godliness, and holiness. We accomplish this by using the land to fulfill the divine commandments that can only be fulfilled in Israel, and by building the holy temple on this land, the house about which God said, "Build a sanctuary for me, and I will dwell in it."
It continues. A second. Okay, go.
This is also the intention and purpose of the entire creation. It is to subdue the tangible world, as the verse states, "Be fruitful and multiply, fill the world and subdue it," and turn this lowly sphere into a home for God, a place where God is fully manifest as we are in our homes.
Okay, so we take the physical, and in this instance, space. We take the land of Israel, and when we do mitzvahs there, when they fulfill God's will there, it becomes holy. It becomes a home for Hashem, a home for God. There's certain mitzvahs that are only done in the land of Israel, and so they had to start how to do that. That can't be done in any other place, and they have to be the land of Israel to do those. And a lot of those were agricultural mitzvahs, and that's why I went with all what we read about in the Torah is, how they should do the land and how they should work the land and all the mitzvahs of the land. And it's because by doing that, they're actually physically taking that land and making it holy, making it godly, and bringing godliness into that land and making a home for him. And not just the actual land, the stuff that they do with the land, but anything a Jew does in any place or any form they are, any physical object they use, it makes that object holy when they are using that physical object for mitzvahs. They're making it all holy. Okay, for serving Hashem. So we need to how do we make it holy? Through our thought, our speech, and our deed. And then it's totally focused, totally completed into a home for Hashem, or into a space for Hashem. So we start off in Israel. Jews came to Israel, and eventually to the rest of the world, where we all got dispersed and we all live all over the place. And a Jew has opportunity anywhere they are to make that place where they are, or anything that they have or with, for holy for Hashem, to make that place a home for Hashem. So each mitzvah needs all these 3 faculties. We need the thought, the speech, and the action, and that's why the lottery had to talk. So it would have to have the thought, the speech, and then the action was the actual lottery. To show that all our faculties are invested and focused on doing what Hashem wants us to do. So a very holistic approach. We gotta get our whole body involved. Okay, so then once the Jews crossed the Jordan River and they got into the land of Israel, it was time for the work. They actually had to do it, not just hearing about it. Today, we do it all over the world. So back to our question. If somebody asked you, hey, should I move to Israel, or should we all move to Israel? What would the answer be? So before we all answered ourselves, and I know we spoke about it in the beginning, and a lot of people had a lot of interesting stuff to answer. Let's read text number 9. Thought you would do it.
In 1857, one of the great Hasidim asked my honorable saintly grandfather and teacher, Rabbi Menachem Mendel of Lubavitch, that Tzimach Tzedek, whose soul resides on high, may his memory protect us, about traveling to the land of Israel. He opened his heart to the Rebbe and revealed that he yearned desperately to study and pray with diligence in the Holy Land. The Rebbe replied, "We must turn this land into Israel, make here into Eretz Yisrael."
So this man had he had a really deep desire to go to Israel, but the Tzemach Tzedek, the third Chabad Rebbe, said you have to make Eretz Israel. You have to make Israel here. What does that mean? Israel is special and holy, so we have to make it special and holy here too. We have to make over here where we are now very Jewish or very, a home for Hashem. When we do what Hashem wants, and we don't just give in to any natural desire we have, but we do God's will, we are making our own places, wherever we are, a holy place. So you're saying a bracha in a park, you go to some, I don't know, peak of some mountain somewhere, and you do something. There's actually a guy that comes to Chabad house. He's a very interesting character, and he climbed one of the highest mountain here in California. Which one is it? I don't know. No. Yeah, that one. Whitney, maybe? And, people who climb mountains, they only have very specific amount of pounds that they can take with them in their backpacks. Like, it's very limited exactly what they could take. And this guy considers himself, I don't think he considers himself agnostic, or that doesn't believe in God. He's a very interesting character, but he still comes to Chabad all the time. And at some point when he came to Chabad, he started to put on tefillin. I don't know if he puts on every day or not, but he puts on tefillin, even though he doesn't officially believe. And when he went on this mountain, to climb this mountain, and he only had whatever it is, 15, 20 pounds, whatever the amount of poundage is that you're allowed to take with him, he made sure to pack his tefillin, and on the top of the mountain, he put the tefillin on there, and he did the mitzvah on the top of the mountain. So he made that, I don't know if any other Jew ever went there that did some kind of mitzvah on the peak of Mount Whitney. And he took the picture, but then he wouldn't let my husband take the picture from him because he didn't want anyone to see that he did a mitzvah, like that, because he especially doesn't believe in God. But it was very cute. He showed it to him, yeah, and he shared in the story. So wherever you go, wherever you're doing, wherever your lot in life is, whatever place you are, and not just physical place, but wherever you find yourself, you can make that place sacred by doing God's will there. So, yes. You can do it. You can say a bracha. You can do something nice for someone there. Yeah, just anything. Learn a little Torah there. Say one verse of the Torah, and you did say the Shema. Any mitzvah, anything. So when the Jews settled in Israel, we said before, Israel is a holy place. So it already had a certain amount of holiness. So in a way, it was easier. It was like they had a little head start, to make that place more holy. But outside of the land of Israel, it's harder because it isn't holy. So it's no coincidence where you ended up in life, right? Which job you ended up in, which city you ended up living in, which area, which neighborhood you ended up living in. Wherever you are, you have a mission in that place. Now, there was I don't know, maybe 100, 200 years ago, there was a Jewish man. He was a teacher in a little town in Ukraine called Kherson, in Vilna, but he couldn't find, he wasn't getting paid well. He couldn't find any good earnings in the city of Vilna. So he found another job in Kherson. So he goes to Kherson, and he was very happy, found a good job, and he's making money, very good. He went to visit his Rebbe, and the Rebbe said, "Oh, what's going on there? Do people there learn Hasidus?" And he says, "No, they're really nice people there, but they don't learn Hasidus." And he says, "You think that your job got switched to the city of Kherson just so you should have a good job and make a lot of money? Or is it because you are there to teach the people Hasidus? So if you're, wherever you may find yourself, you're there for a reason. How are you going to make that place more Jewish? How are you going to bring godliness, God into that place where you are?" So you had to move for a certain reason. You ended up in a weird place. You got this great job, whatever it is, it's because you have a purpose in that specific place. Let's read text number 10. Okay, Sylvia, take over.
What purpose did God bring you from your city in the Vilnius region to your city in the Kherson region? If it were just for your livelihood, God could have provided you with students where you were living or nearby. Have you considered that as person's steps are established by God for a hidden purpose? When God told our patriarch Abraham of blessed memory, "Go from your land," Abraham traveled continuously southward The cosmic recertification of the world began. By decree of divine providence, we travel to the place where the divine sparks that we must specify. What?
Rectify.
Specify.
Oh,
It's okay.
divine providence, we travel to the place where the divine sparks that we must rectify, await their redemption, like inmates in prison. Saintly people who have lofty visions see where their sparks await them and go there. As for ordinary people, the cause of all causes and prime mover orchestrates various reasons and circumstances to bring them to the place where the sparks they were assigned to rectify reside.
Okay, so if you are living here in the States or wherever you're living, and you say, oh, I want to live in Israel, it's easier, it's better, it's a holy place, you know, you do a special mitzvah to live there. Yes, there are those good qualifications, good reasons why you should move to Israel. On the other hand, are you, wherever you're living right now, are you active in your community? Are you someone who is helping other Jews in some way or another? Are you a teacher, a principal, or even not, just a good community member who's giving a lot to their community? Is it okay then to just move to Israel because that's where life will be good for you? And so that's where we have to say, hey, I have to weigh that, you know, the situation. So you need to focus on what your mission is, and your mission just might be here. To make your corner of the world into a mini Israel. So the Rebbe actually told many people not to move to Israel at certain times. Yes, he told people to move to Israel. Or people living in Israel, he told them not to leave. And it is very important to protect the land and to live there. And the Rebbe is one of the biggest advocates for the land of Israel. But at the same time, you have to know who you are and where you are. And if you could just pick up and move and leave your like mission behind. So let's read text. And there's a few stories that we'll talk about at the end. Text number 11. What are you up to? Anna.
Undertakings that have their own frameworks and their own purposes is not our concern. Our responsibility is to devote ourselves completely, thought, speech, and action, to making this our specific location and our specific time into a land of Israel. This is the only way for us to have a global impact in every place and every time, because our assigned portion of the world includes all the portions of the world.
Okay, so we need to be here, we need to be in the moment, and if our moment is that will make where we are now here better, that's what we need to do. That's our focus. Same idea as what we spoke about before with the present moment. It's also the present place that we are in. So Hashem gave each of us a mission. Our role might be to be here in the United States, and we could be dreaming about Israel, but no, we need to focus on what we are doing here and now, and why Hashem put us here in this specific city, neighborhood, or whatever it is there Hashem put us. You know, not just to go and escape. Every moment, every place is vital to us. So you might say, hey, no fear, I want to be over there. But no, Hashem put you here for a reason. So there's actually a little story, a side note. It's a very famous story. Some of you may know it. There was two visiting rabbis that went to the Aleutian Islands. I think it was off of Alaska. And they had a chance to go speak in a public school there. And they came to the school and they said, is anyone here Jewish? And one little girl raised her hand that she's Jewish. And they said, okay, we have permission to say something to this girl that's going to empower her and, you know, give her something for her Judaism. So they said in Judaism has a mitzvah of lighting Shabbat candles. Okay. And let's say I don't know what the first time zone is it Australia or somewhere a little before that? They start lighting the Shabbat, that Shabbos comes in first there, and they light the Shabbat candles, then the next time zone, then the next time, then the next time. And the last time zone is, or the latest time maybe, that to light the Shabbos candles ends up being in the Aleutian Islands. And you have to finish that circle, that all the Jewish women and girls in the world were lighting Shabbos candles. You're the last one to light Shabbos candles every single Shabbos, or at least in the summertime, I don't know. And so when you light, you should light, you light Shabbos candles, think that you are completing that mission of lighting Shabbos candles. And that gave her this, that gave her, this, this empowerment to do something Jewish, to feel good about being Jewish, and to understand why she's there of all places and the only Jew in this place. And actually someone wrote a little, I guess a little, I want to say, article, something about it. Oh, did I just skip it again? It's like text number 12. No. Text number 12. Okay. Carrie, okay to read?
Yeah.
Okay.
Shabbat and the Aleutian Islands. All around the world, women and girls bring in Shabbat by lighting candles on Friday afternoon, 18 minutes before sunset. But when they are lighting 18 minutes before sunset, bringing in Shabbat in Australia, it is not yet Shabbat in Israel until 8 hours later when the women there light the candles. And then 7 hours later, New York lights and brings in Shabbat. And eventually California and the entire world lights and brings in Shabbat at different times. The very last time zone is at the furthest point on the earth, which is the Aleutian Islands. And the Aleutian Islands is the very last place in the world where every Friday to have the opportunity to light Shabbat candles. You and your mother have this opportunity to usher in the light of Shabbat for the entire Aleutian Islands. You will also be the very last Jewish girl in the world each Friday, little Stacy, to usher in Shabbat with your Shabbat candles, completing this unifying circle.
Okay. So everyone has a
That's
purpose.
really neat. Where is that? Oh,
It says it's in Alaska. So I'm assuming, I don't think
Oh,
it's the
it's in
last time. I'm
Alaska.
assuming Hawaii. Is Hawaii the last time zone, I would guess? But I'm assuming it's the latest because since it's so far north, in the summertime, it just doesn't get dark. Like right now, I just checked, like, well, no, Aleutian Islands, but I know, like, let's say Alaska is like 10, 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
So it could be there it's even later. Yeah. 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 So just like the train ride that didn't exist for the previous Rebbe until he had to go on the train. And just like the lecturer, Rabbi Shlomo, who, you know, was able to take his walk every day and just block everything out because that's what was important to him right that moment. We, you know, we each have our business. We think we're here for a bit, you know, and we're saying, hey, why are we here? What are we doing? And the real reason we are here is because we have to make this place holy at this moment. And that's the real reason where you are, end up, wherever you may end up at any time, place, or moment. Okay. Or whatever specific job that you're in. So just two little stories. When I was younger, I was probably much more like, I say, idealistic and like, hey, I'm going to do this. So me and my friend, we were part of a summer camp in northern Michigan. And one year, of all the years that I was there, they decided they're going to take the counselors on a trip. Have you heard of Mackinac Island?
yes.
Oh, okay. So the island, I think, has very few vehicles, like, you know, cars on there. So, you know, it's really,
It's cool.
huh? Yeah, maybe not at all. I'm trying to remember. It was a long time ago. But me and my friend were just coming off like the spiritual high from the summer of like teaching kids and everything. We're like, oh, why should we just go and spend our time having fun in this island? We must be here for a purpose. We just are going to try to go find a Jew on this island. We had to walk or take a bike or whatever in these hills. It wasn't so easy. And we're like running around from place to place trying to find someone. Finally, we found someone who, like, maybe they weren't there at the moment, but they're, you know, we sent a message that to light, we left stuff for them, like Shabbos candles and a little brochure, like make sure she lights the Shabbos candles. And another time, when I was like 18, I broke my foot, my ankle. And I was in New York at the time, so I got phone home the next morning. I went straight to the hospital and they had to do surgery. And also I was like, oh, I must be here for a reason. It's like every doctor that came in, every person that came in, I had to, like, you know, try to teach them something about, you know, if they're Jewish, something about Judaism or about God or something like that. Like, you know, if you're in the hospital, you got to be, you know, there for a purpose. There's something you're there for. Mm-hmm. So the conclusion of our class is, so again, we said, should we move to Israel? So depending on, as you said in the beginning, maybe you could do things here that help Jews a lot, right? You're bringing Judaism to the world. You know, the Rebbe never went to Israel. But, so depending on obviously what your situation is and what you are, but there is a point of actually staying here and not moving to Israel just because you have opportunity, because there might be a very important reason you are here. I'm going to show you a little video just to end off the class. If I could figure out how to do this. Okay, share again, share. Sorry, they changed this whole thing on me, drives me crazy. Okay. Oh, here we go. Okay, and I'll turn it around so you could all see it. Okay, I hope you guys on Zoom can see and hear it, and I hope everyone here can see and hear it. Let's see if it works. It might take a minute because it's been sitting on my screen all day. That's weird. If I refresh it. Try to make it. But what did I just do? Oh.
Stop. Oh, that's done.
Second, guys, sorry.
I'm so sorry. Sorry.
Self-sacrifice. A second. Hold on a second, guys. We're gonna stop this.
That was great.
1 second. That's it. 1 second. Okay. Thank you all for joining.
Thank you so much. It was great.